Here's my speed video of a bulldog in charcoal. I'm drawing this freehand using Derwent charcoal pencils. These pencils come in light, medium, dark and white. I'm sketching the outline using the light charcoal, which can easily be erased and worked over in case you make a mistake. Though the video is really speeded up, I think you can see me measuring the proportions using the pencil, making sure the features are the right size and distance apart by checking against the reference photo. Here you can see I forgot to turn the camera on so the footage jumps. I've been using the white charcoal to draw the lightest areas, making the pencil strokes correspond with the direction of the fur. To get the values right, as you're blocking in these base layers, a good tip is to squint your eyes as you look at the reference. This blurs and simplifies the image, making it easier to see darks and lights. Using a blending stump softens the marks you've made, so this makes the background fur appear out of focus, so it recedes in the image to create a 3D effect for your drawing. As I use the dark charcoal for darker areas, I'm blending as I work. This softens and lightens the charcoal. I also spread the pigment out using the stump as a pencil to create midtones. Using a grey tone paper means lots of the midtones have been already created for you. You just leave the paper showing through in the areas with similar values to the paper colour. This helps speed up the drawing process, which is something I'm always trying to achieve. Varying the pressure of the pencil is another method I use to get different values, so a lighter pressure produces lighter tones. Using a soft brush blends the charcoal more subtly. It's great to use in large areas or where you just need a little softening. And of course, blending the white charcoal into the black gives you more grey mid-tones. To sharpen the pencils, I've used a Stanley knife, though I found with my dark pencil I had to be extremely careful as the lead kept breaking. I don't know whether it's been dropped on the floor or it's just because it's softer, no idea. But I saved all the broken bits to grind up into charcoal powder. Well, I am a Yorkshire lass and I don't like to see any waste. I love drawing and painting English bulldogs. Their faces are so interesting, with the skin folds and creases, so full of character. To create the fur texture, I'm using the white, making small lines in the general fur direction, and then coming back in between with the dark pencil. I try to vary the strokes with this type of fur to avoid it looking too uniform, every now and then crossing a hair in the opposite direction or making it a slightly different length. Lifting the pencil at the end of the hair strokes will also make it look more natural. Also notice I don't draw long continuous lines. I'm breaking up the outline of the ears with short overlapping lines. This helps to create a fuzziness to the ears, which looks more natural. And also your brain fills in any of the gaps as you look at the image. I come back in with the white, picking out lighter hairs and pressing on harder for the lightest. Using the blending stump, you can fill in some of the smoother flat areas. Blending at this stage creates the base for working more detail over the top, making your image look 3D and creating the furry texture. Bulldogs have really interestingly shaped eyes with slightly droopy lower lids, and this dog had dark patches around both eyes, which helps to make the eyes stand out. A tip when drawing eyes is to keep the highlights really white, and it'll make the drawing come alive and pop off the page. This was only my second drawing using this grey tone paper, and I really enjoyed it. As I mentioned before, the tone does help speed up the drawing process, as lots of mid-tones are already there for you. Usually I work on pastel map, so I was really aware I wouldn't be able to draw as many layers with this paper. I use the light charcoal for the shadows on the paler fur of the muzzle. I'm also using a kneadable eraser to lift out areas which were too dark, and you can also get good effects by gently blotting with the eraser, and this softens the areas. I come back in with the white charcoal with lots of small strokes to shape the tops of the folds in the muzzle, and then use a darker charcoal to fill in the creases. I lost footage of the initial layers of the nose, but here you can see that I'm strengthening the shadows and making the highlights brighter. I think the two most important things on drawing a dog's nose of getting the nostrils dark enough and getting the highlights light enough. And if you're drawing a dog with a wet nose, these little white highlights really make the nose come to life and stand out off the paper. And this poor boy here had a dry nose, so it wasn't quite as effective as if he'd have had a nice wet shiny nose, but still very effective and very cute. The body and paws are worked softer and lighter to recede into the background, helping to focus attention on the face. I use a soft brush again to blur the fur. I don't think I used any dark charcoal in the background areas, and I stuck to the light and medium strength charcoal. The dark charcoal, which kept breaking and being sharpened, hence its small size, is now in a pencil holder, a great tool for getting your money's worth from your materials. I'm adding the dark charcoal for shadows under the dog's shoulders and paws, which really sets the dog in the scene. I also darken up areas on the ears and around the dog's face to make his face stand out even more. Throughout the drawing I've been using glassine paper to rest my hand on, so this enables you to work over different areas without smudging any of the stuff that you've already drawn. As the drawing gets closer to finishing, take a step back and look at the whole image. You can then assess any areas that need darkening up, lightening, making sharper, because while you're working close up on detail for a long time, you stop seeing the drawing as a whole, and it's easy to miss how one area relates to another. I really check my reference image for the relationships between the darks and lights. The final touches are the whiskers. With this image they were quite subtle and mostly white on the muzzle. There's just those quite thick dark hairs coming out of the side of his face. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video and feel inspired to draw in charcoal. See you next time. Bye!